Hi.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
Good. It's nice to meet you too. I'm doing well. How are you?
So good, so good. It's Friday, so what more could you want? What more could you
I
want?
know we did it. 1 week down to Friday.
I want to first start off by talking about a little just like fun things I learned about you from your website to
Oh
kick
boy.
off, just to get to know you a little bit more. I thought they were so fun.
Okay.
You're a Zumba instructor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did that a couple years ago. I've always been the kind of person who loves to dance and move my body. And so when I learned that I could do both while exercising, I was like, oh, this is a perfect way for me to get to know people in my community. So I got to teach a bunch of classes, and it's so much fun to just get up and move your body like that. And I'm just not the type of person who can run on a treadmill for very long. So if I can just keep moving my body in that way, it's been a lot of fun doing something like that.
So good. So are you an instructor while being on tour?
No, I don't have time for it on tour, but I do plenty of moving around in the actual show that I don't I don't need to worry about it. But if ever there's like downtime, some of the people in the cast will put together classes for each other. And so maybe one of these days I'll do like a Zumba class just for fun.
So good, so good. Okay, I have to ask you, this is so fun. You say you do a pretty good Bernadette Peters impression.
Yes, I knew that was going to come up.
And if it's okay with you, I would love to hear everyone else with it as well.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I discovered this talent a few years ago, and it's funny because she and I both have like the red hair and we're both kind of silly, but essentially Bernadette Peters, I have to get my body into this. She's all about like, like shaking her shoulders and sticking her lips out and like, I'm just a Broadway baby. It's hard to just like jump into it, but it's like, she has those like pursed lips and like, ooh. Yeah. So depending on who I'm auditioning for, they'll always see it on my resume and I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's sing some Broadway baby and pretend we're Bernadette Peters.
Oh, wow. That was, you made my day. Thank you so much for doing that. So awesome. Um, okay, I also see that you enjoy, the outdoors. You say cliff jumping, high ropes. A
Oh,
little bit.
yes. I am a bit of a thrill seeker. I love roller coasters. Yeah, I've done cliff jumping. I used to want to do skydiving. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see about that. But I just love anything that's outdoors, like hiking, or there's this high ropes course that goes around the country. My dressing roommate, Jerry, who plays the Dowager, she and I have been trying to get the cast together to do some sort of like high ropes course while we're on the road. But I love adventure and I love the outdoors. So whenever we're in a new city, that's usually goal number one for me is to just try and find some sort of like walking path or, anything I can explore.
So good, so good. Well, I have to say, I have personally been skydiving 4 times, and I highly recommend it.
Oh my gosh,
If you were looking for a sign, this is it.
this is
It's
it. Okay, well, all right. Well, then we'll just
very
keep it
fun.
on the list. Yeah.
All right, and then last but not least, you said that you, if it were acceptable, you'd wear a gown every day, and it's kind of fun. You do that for your job too. Tell
I
us.
know. I hate jeans. I hate wearing pants. I would ask anyone who knows me. I'm always wearing like a skirt or a dress. I just have always, for as long as I can remember, loved it. But I mean, gowns, especially, any reason to get dressed up, that's my thing. That's what I love to do. So the fact that I get to dress up every single day is checking all the boxes for me.
So good, and you wear so many beautiful costumes in the show. Can you tell us like what is your favorite gown to wear?
Ooh, I think my favorite gown is when Lily's at the ballet. She has these like really ridiculous poofy shoulders and almost has like reptile-y looking fabric to it, which kind of suits the character and it's great. But I love coming out and having like my hair up and the big orange flower and but I also am in Act One and I get to be one of the Russian servants who wears those like really, really tall hats. I don't know if you've seen any photos, but she's decked out in jewels from head to toe. So I get to have a huge range of types of costumes that I get to wear in the show, which is fun.
Ah, so good. Well, I want to start at the very beginning of where or what really sparked your love for theater.
Oh, well, from a very, very young age, I loved performing. My mom, I grew up with her singing in the house. She did community theater and sang at churches, and she would play like the Broadway Kids albums for me, and she would play all of Bernadette Peters' albums. So it started very, very young, but I fell in love with The Wizard of Oz and Dorothy. I would, pretend I was her. I had the red shoes. I think it was meant to be from a very young age. And then obviously, as I grew up and realized that this is something that I could do for a living, I, in high school, started seriously taking voice lessons and decided I want to give this a shot. And so that's when I started training seriously for years after that. But it started from, I mean, if my family was here in this live, they would be like, oh, yeah, she was always singing something. She was always dancing. She was always saying it's time for the show. So I guess it's been in my blood the whole time.
So good, so good. We had a question in about what was your favorite show that you did in high school slash community theater?
Oh, okay. I was in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And that show was on Broadway. That was revived a couple years ago with Daniel Radcliffe. It's so funny, first of all. But I got to play Rosemary, and that was the beginning of me really feeling like theater was my home. I just loved the musical. I thought it had everything. The music is fantastic. But that was maybe my favorite. We took it to, I remember, an all-state theater competition and ended up winning competitions too in high school, which is also fun to do. But I've been in Kiss Me Kate a couple of times, and that's probably next on the list as far as high school and community theater.
And now you're here. You are in Anastasia. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your national tour debut, right?
It is, yeah, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every single minute of it. I love tour, I love traveling, and I love this show. So it's exciting to be able to say that this is my debut.
Is there a specific reason why you said yes to Anastasia?
I was auditioning for this show during the pandemic. Actually, I auditioned before the pandemic, and then everything sort of shut down. Um, I remember seeing the movie growing up, and I loved the story. And this particular role piqued my interest because I mean, again, Bernadette Peters is coming up, but she voiced the character in the movie, and I always loved Sophie. That was her name in the movie, and I loved that bubbly, kind of silly character, and I wanted to give that a shot. I wanted to try something different because typically I would have gone in for something like Anastasia. For my whole life, I've been used to playing like leading ladies or ingenue, and I was like, no, I'm interested in this one. So I auditioned before the pandemic, and then throughout the actual pandemic, sent in a bunch of videos to the casting directors, and it continued on and on. And then they finally called me in a year after and had my first in-person audition after COVID and everything, which is really, really special. And yeah, then they offered me the role only a week later, and here I am. So I said yes because it's something that I had been working towards for almost a year, and it felt really special to be able to say yes, especially after the pandemic.
So good. We have someone who submitted a question asking, what is your favorite line of yours in the show?
Oh, my favorite line. Oh gosh, she has so many good ones. I mean, my favorite line is probably in the actual song when she's singing Land of Yesterday. She, has that bit in the middle where she sings The Night's Young and she pauses. And lilies across the country have done different things, but I've decided to opt up for this like crazy high note to wake everybody up in the party. And so that's my favorite like line in a song. But I just saw someone wrote, yeah, okay. What are you doing in Paris? There's a line in the show where I bend down to pick up a handkerchief to try and flirt with Vlad, and I just say, "Well, what are you doing in Paris?" And I draw it out, and it's ridiculous. It's so much fun.
Oh, so good. So you are touring from city to city, and someone is submitted a question about, what is tour life for you? Do you like being on the road and seeing all these different cities?
I love it. I love traveling, and like I said before, I'm I love adventure. So the fact that I get to be in a new city, in a new theater, in a new place all the time, it's always changing. That's totally up my alley. And it's difficult being on tour, like the silly little things people don't think about, like, shopping for groceries is not really easy to do on tour, or, always being in a new hotel room. I have to like write down what room I'm staying in at this point because I just can't remember. Um, so like there are little things and missing family when you're on the road. But other than that, I love it, and I'm really excited for this next year. Yeah.
Speaking of family, you're coming home. You have spent a lot of your years growing up in Chicago. Tell us a little bit about your connection here.
Yeah, oh, I'm so excited. Yes, Chicago to me is where, it's my hometown. I went to middle school, high school, came home from college, and that was my home. And that's where I got my start as an actor and as a singer. My first series voice teacher, Angela Corbett, who I believe is coming to the show in Chicago, they all of these teachers just had such an impact on me. So it's special that I get to come back and be at the theater where I saw so many shows growing up. And I'm actually going to be doing a workshop at my old high school during the week, and connecting with so many of my friends and family that are there. So I can't even describe how excited I am and nervous, just to be back and be performing for all these people who really helped me kickstart my career. So it's going to be really great.
So good. And you mentioned that you're doing a workshop, and I saw on that you were also a coach. What really draws you to want to teach other people?
Yes, I trained in opera for many, many years and was really strictly singing for a long time, and not really focusing on musical theater and acting, but I knew deep down that like Broadway was my dream and that's something I wanted to do. So then I got my master's in theater, but that education that I got about just the voice alone was something that I wanted to pass on to people. I've been teaching choirs and children, and seniors, really anybody who has a voice. I have opted to teach those people just because I enjoy passing on the knowledge that I have been given, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about is singing firsthand. And so sometimes I'll coach my friends on the road if they want to, and giving workshops to young actors who are thinking of doing this for a career, or just if it's something they really love. I love being that person for them to, pick my brain or offer whatever I can, because this industry isn't easy, and I wish that I had someone like me just come to talk and say that this is what it's like and this is how you do it. So I love coaching, teaching, workshops, anything like that.
What is one thing that you would tell younger Madeline?
Ooh, I would probably tell her to keep, writing silly songs and keep performing, and that someday, after all the hard work, it's going to happen, because I think it's hard to get really bogged down by the process of auditioning and of getting 100 no's before you get one single yes in this business. And I wish that I could go back and tell her, it's going to be really hard and it's going to kick your butt, but you're going to get there if you keep pursuing it and keep putting yourself first. So I think I'd say that.
Good. Well, we are nearing the end of our time, but I have one last question.
Sure.
When people go to any theater around the country to see Anastasia, what do you hope that they leave with?
I hope that they leave with a sense of just like comfort and joy. This story is about home, love, and family. It's about a brave young woman who seeks to find out who she is and who her family is. I think it's especially special to see this kind of musical after something like COVID. For a lot of people, this is still their first show that they've seen after everything. And so I just want them to have a night to forget about whatever it is that's on their mind outside of the theater, and just to focus on the joy that we're bringing to that stage in that moment.
So good. Madeline, thank you so much for joining me and talking.
Thank you. I had so much fun.
So good. You watch, come see Anastasia. We had such a fun time. They're here only for a week only, coming to the CIBC Theater September 20th to the 25th. 1 week only. Do not miss it. Tickets are at broadwayinchicago.com and start at $27. So come join us. It'll be a great time. Madeline, thank you so much. And we'll see you
Thank
next
you. Wonderful. Bye. Thank you, everybody.